To Reno.
Carl, learn to fly.
I'm on it, man, I swear.
Hey, me, I'm on it, man. Same old broken record, Carl, but that's fine. Because your brother's getting a new cellmate tonight. Horsecock Harry. And I'm sending a present, little wedding present. Big tub of lube.
Shit, dude. Okay, I swear, man, I'm gonna be the best pilot.
I'd love to hear you, Carl. I can't hear you. All I can hear is your brother's love cries as 8 kilometers of cock finds its way up his ass. Oh, that's your brother, okay? No big problem.
Wait, please, man.
That was my last motivational speech, you understand? Am I being too spiritual for you, Carl?
Okay, man, I get the message.
Hello there and welcome back to some more Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Today we'll continue on Let's Play. This is episode 51. In today's episode we are taking a look at the pilot school. Now usually we would do this after the main missions, however you actually need to do this to progress further along in this game. So we're having to do it now, and our first test is to take off, which is incredibly simple. I apologise by the way, I didn't let a lot of this stuff play out. I didn't let the celebrations for when we got gold play out, and I didn't let the sort of TV demonstrations play out as much as I did in the driving school, so I apologise if this goes a little bit too quick. I kind of forgot I was filming this. Anyways, takeoff is incredibly easy. Just make sure to rudder slightly to the left on your way up into the sky, because the Coronas are very, very slightly to the left, and if you try and fly straight then you'll end up missing this final one. Do it in 30 seconds and you will get the gold and flying skill upgraded. Wonderful. Next up, well, you've taken off, so now of course you need to learn how to land a plane, and that is also a pretty simple process. It's simply a case of extending your landing gear, hitting this first corona, and then you need to make sure that you land all of the plane in this middle corona right here. You can just land the plane straight down, then get a really good time and just deal with bronze if you want to go that way, but if you want the gold, you have to land fully in the corona. Of course, you do get a damage penalty as well, which is worth pointing out, so make sure not to crash into anything. Although if you crash into anything in a plane, chances are it's going to end in a fireball and death. Next up, we have Circle Airstrip, which requires us to, well, circle the airstrip. You're essentially doing a circle around the desert part around the airstrip. This one is gold as long as you complete it in under a minute and don't damage the plane. Pretty straightforward stuff. It's essentially just getting a feel to how the plane turns. It says to use the rudder. The actual game says to use the rudder, however I highly recommend just relying on the analog sticks more to control the plane, because using the rudder is a little bit too slow and it's just not quite worth it. So you can use the rudder a little bit to make tighter turns, but preferably the best thing to do is just use the analog stick in order to control planes through the corona that way. And as long as you do this in under a minute, which we do it in exactly a minute, you will get the gold time. When I say under, I mean under or that exact gold time. Next up, well, because you couldn't get enough of it first time round, you now have to circle the airstrip and land. Also, you can do this both ways. I did it clockwise because that's the way that makes the most sense to me. You may prefer to do it anti-clockwise. It doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't think any one is quicker than the other one, although of course if you want to follow along with this LP at home and you're struggling, then go clockwise, because this will make more sense to you. Again, instead of banking and using the rudders, just use the direction of the plane to turn it into the location where you want it. Get it through the coronas. Obviously if you miss a corona it's probably game over. Just press the triangle button and you can start the test all over again. There's not all much that you're going to hit on the way around here, which is nice. It's pretty, I mean it's not flat ground obviously, but it's fairly unintrusive, and the coronas are quite high up in the sky, which means you're sort of not running the risk of crashing into anything. For this final corona, make sure to take a good line into it, because of course the airstrip is right there, so don't fly straight into it. Sort of prepare to land by taking sort of a wider line through that corona so you can get narrower on the exit. Once again, as long as you're all within the corona and within 1 minute 20, then you're good to go. So you actually get a hell of a lot of time to land the plane. So that's good. Next up, helicopter takeoff. This is incredibly simple. I love the helicopter missions in this. Simply put, you're just taking off into the sky and then flying into a corona that's going to be directly behind you. So what I recommend doing is, like I've done, rudder the helicopter around 180 degrees while you're gaining height, because it doesn't impact your speed at all. It means you don't have to do it any later on. So as you can see, just push the analog stick forward into the corona, and that will be the end of the test. I'm not quite sure what the timing is on this, but yeah, as long as you make sure to turn the helicopter around while you're taking off, it's very, very straightforward. Next up, land helicopter. Again, relatively easy. It's just a case of making sure to get into the corona. In a helicopter, you can actually press circle, and that will do, as you can see there, it actually auto levels the helicopter out, which is useful for this. So the one nice thing as well is, even though the helicopter is a larger piece of vehicle, so it's a bit harder to get inside the corona, the helicopter is an easier vehicle to get in the corona, because you have sort of more, you can see directly overhead and you get a more direct thing. This is probably the hardest test of them all. Destroy targets. You're of course in the Hunter helicopter, which has missiles and machine guns. So you need to destroy 3 trucks at the end of this runway, and then 2 mobile targets who are going to be circling southwest of the runway. The way I recommend doing this is using a rocket barrage to take out the trucks, and then using the machine guns to take out the slow movers. You might have seen it on my second pass through. I actually usually recommend getting it all in one pass, and if you don't, then restarting. But because it was the first truck, it wasn't too bad. You do have to do this within 45 seconds, I believe. Oh, sorry, it's not quite 45 seconds. I think it's a minute. But yeah, it can be a little bit tricky, so just make sure to kill the trucks in the first pass, or at the very least make sure that you can get them very quickly after going around your first pass. But beyond that, pretty simple stuff. Landing the corona, and there we go. I'm not actually sure what the time limit is on that. I might be talking bollocks. Anyways, I thought it was 60 seconds, but apparently 61 gets it. Just say a minute 5. You should very easily be able to do it in that. Next up, you need to learn some stunt tricks. First up, we have the loop. The loop, which is actually the harder of the 2 things to do in the stunt plane. The whole point here is to maintain height on the corona, do a loop-de-loop, and then fly through the second one. What I'd recommend doing is going low on the second corona, going about halfway towards the last one, and then pulling the loop-de-loop, because then of course you've got less progress being lost. You don't have to accelerate further after you've finished doing the loop-de-loop, and you get 21 seconds to complete that. Next up, we have the barrel roll. Once again, very easy in the stunt plane. You get 18 seconds to complete this one. Barrel roll, it's really hard to say that, is just simply pull left on the left stick and it'll do a loop-de-loop, sort of, well, barrel roll, but loop-de-loop, you know what I mean. It's gonna go around 360. Easy peasy. There's no actual sort of position locator on that, which is nice. So yeah, pretty easy test in order to pass. And now our final test, parachute onto target. This one I actually had trouble with purely because my parachute failed for some reason when I first went to go do this. Not quite sure what was happening there, but either way, that's what did happen. This one is just a case of parachuting onto a target which is on the runway. Simply push forward. A, this speeds up your descent, and B, because it allows you to move more sort of forwards towards the target because you're a fair bit way back from the target. And then just simply coasting your parachute down, making sure to make small adjustments when you need it. You can pull your legs up in order to go further forwards, or you can just drop, and that will sort of drop you relatively where you are. The whole point of this is to land on the bullseye, which sounds pretty complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. In terms of this one, just sort of slowly edging it forwards. As you can see, I can make a last minute adjustment to land directly on that 35. And that is it. That is flight school done and dusted. You might have seen earlier when the flight skill was upgraded. I don't know if it popped up actually, because I might have done it at a different point. But you actually gain your pilot's license after 5 of those tests, I believe. But you may as well do all of them because it counts towards 100% completion, which is of course what we're going for. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Next time, I'm going to find out what Torino wanted us to get that pilot's license for, so join us for that. Until then, farewell.
Uptown, downtown, speeding all around. The Naked 47 got the power and it's bound to move any mother that gets in my way. Just another power machine on the freeway. Riding with me, there's my MC homeboy. Knowing the rules ain't part of his program. Finding the right way around this map might be pretty hard, cause he's fucked on crack. G, Grand Theft Auto.